We're live.
All right, Ryan, it says we're live. Let's jump in. Welcome, everyone, to Coffee and Prompt with Ryan and Marcella from Ready Plan Grow. Good to see you, Ryan. Ready Plan
Good to
Grow
see you too.
is an AI-powered coaching community here to help your small business grow. Today, we had to jump on live because Ryan opened my eyes to a big, big change that's kind of happening tomorrow. So, Ryan, let's jump right in. What's the big topic of the day?
Sure, the big topic of the day, folks, and good day to you all, is definitely the new import taxes and the changes to what is called the de minimis rule. And that is not an ancient Roman legion. That is actually a rule. And many of you may have been benefiting from it already, maybe unbeknown to you, or maybe someone in your family orders from Shein or Temu. And any order that was under $800 was allowed to come into the United States tax and duties free. Well, that constituted, I think, just over $1 billion in total lost revenue for the government. So that loophole has just been closed as of tomorrow. So sees people scrambling, not sure what to do, people running small businesses. So we're going to run through some strategic steps and ideas that might help you out with this sudden challenge that you might be faced with.
Ryan, I think the key thing that brought this up for us is you're a small business owner. You've been dealing with all of these changes that came through because of the current administration, and now your wife is dealing with it. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about both of your backgrounds so they can see how relevant this is to what you've been up to?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's dive into my wife. First of all, she runs a small, what you would call a small local business, sole proprietor. She was buying jewelry findings from Shein and Temu. She was then assembling the jewelry. She rents space in a small local studio. And she's turning over, a few $100s a month. She's making some pocket money. She enjoys it, gives her something to do. And she's got quite a little following and she loves it. This has completely shut that supply chain down for her, is the best way to put it. The supply chain is shut, right? So she was panicking. Last night we started talking about it, coming up with some solutions. And I said to her, this is kind of double-edged sword, because I run an e-commerce business, which I've run now, we're on, I think, our 7th year, if I remember correctly. And for me, one of my biggest competition is people purchasing printed items, particularly logo tablecloths or tents overseas in China, which they can go ahead and buy at pennies on the dollar, and they were paying nothing to get this imported. So they would undercut the legitimate businesses with print cut sew operations like I have here in the United States, and we're basically undercutting US business. So there's two sides to this thing as well, Marcella, and we're all having a scramble because we've been hit with tariffs on the bigger material end that we're bringing in on ships and containers. So that's a different side of the tariffs as well. But everyone's getting hit, and we all need to diversify and keep our eyes open.
So, Ryan, what are the key things that you told your wife to do, and what we will be sharing in office hours with the entrepreneurs that jump in to ask us for advice on this?
Yeah, absolutely. Really two things that I said to her. I see this as you have a marketing and business opportunity to expand your business in a very patriotic sense, if that's what you should choose to do. You can start sourcing all of your material from US sources only. You can make US made, constructed, sourced jewelry. Sure, it's going to be higher price, but the people who support, USA First or whatever, they're going to appreciate that. They're going to pay that. So that's an option that you have. Supply chain wise, I said the best thing to do is possibly move from being a sole proprietor, form an LLC, and then go and contact the wholesalers in the United States that require you to be a fully formed business with an EIN number so that you can actually go ahead and open a wholesale account. So they were the two solutions that we came up with off the bat, which, both are feasible and will work.
Yeah, so we just wrote a blog post as Ryan and I were considering ways to solve this for small business owners. The first one is what Ryan just mentioned: reevaluate your import strategy. So think about whether or not you want to continue importing from overseas, or if you can make the change to a US supplier. other thing that we talked about was paying duties once with that bulk import rather than on every single parcel. So that's the first thing that we thought was really important, reevaluating your import strategy. That's one. In order to reevaluate that, you do need to do number two, which is compare overseas versus domestic suppliers. Now, the key to this is doing a side-by-side cost analysis and using AI to really analyze the results. So make sure that and this is particularly important if you want to keep your overseas supplier, if you have a great relationship, they do a good job for you, do that side-by-side cost analysis and think about the risk of switching over if you must. So that's number two. Ryan, how would you prompt for that comparison?
I would get the price lists from both suppliers. I would put them into a Google Sheets or a .csv format if you're using Excel. Export both sheets into your AI that you're using. If it's ChatGPT, just click on the Add File button, add them from your local files, ask it to examine the two, and explain to it that one of these is a domestic supplier, and these are probably going to be your shipping costs. This one is my overseas supplier. I would also give it some information on the pain points you might have with each and ask it to look at which one is going to be best. Should I be building a relationship with my long-term overseas partner, maybe looking for another country for them to ship from? Think it through. That's what I would do.
Ryan, I'm going to make a promise that I haven't talked to anybody about, or more particularly you about, which is let's create the prompt, let's share it on our blog, and we'll distribute it out to see what you get.
Absolutely. That sounds good.
I challenge you. So the next big tip that we talked about, the third one, is really important regardless of whether you are importing or not. You must understand your margins at a deeper level. You cannot be making smart decisions if you don't know your numbers. So how much will the new duties increase your cost of goods sold? What is your profit margin after this change? And this is an important one. Can you raise retail prices without losing customers? Right? If you have long-term value of your business, if you have customers that are renewing and there's a risk of losing them, how are you going to offset those costs, or more importantly, that revenue somewhere else? Now, Ryan, this is one that you gave me earlier, which I really appreciated, which is this is tip number 4, look to offset in other ways. So you talked to me about potentially bundling other products, increasing average order sizes in other places. Can you talk a little bit about how you've gone through that with your business recently?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we sell logo printed custom table covers and covers for various trade show storage and that kind of stuff. So we have production time. Customer can choose, standard is a free 5-day production, but they can then break that down day by day up to a 24-hour production. And I chose a pricing strategy that increases in the percentage added to the original cost of the product, dependable based upon what production time you choose. So we opted not to raise prices per se, as in a visible price that you're going to see. And sorry, folks, it's just the truth. This is business. So you don't see an actual price change on the product, but we put a couple of points on each of the production phases. So we're making a little bit more money to offset the tariff within something that hopefully is a lot more digestible to the retail customer. It's not as, in my vision as the business owner, we're not just seeing blanket price rises. And the other thing we do with our business, we never have sales. We pride ourselves on keeping our price as low as possible all year. So our customers don't see an up and down in pricing throughout the year as well. So the other thing is bundling products, buy one, get one kind of deal that works for you. That's another good thing to do. And upsells, always be upselling if you're in e-commerce.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to keep that customer base. So if you piss off the customers that you have and they're to bleed out the door, you really want to think through, is that worth it? Are you really going to start having to go get new leads?
Exactly.
You're doing that anyway, but your existing customers are gold. And you have to really think about what you're, if changing these things is going to, watch
Yeah.
them walk out the door. So that's number 4, looking for offset opportunities. And number 5, right, which you also talked to me about, I'm not in e-commerce, so I really appreciate learning all of this from you, is diversify your product centers. So Ryan, can you talk to us about that really quick?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'm going to pull my company as an example. So we print on fabric. We have primarily built the business just selling on a 6.5 ounce polyester fabric. However, our supplier over the years has introduced eco fabric, an 8 ounce fabric, 12.5 ounce fabric. And these are the things that you've got to explore. You might have a single product, but your manufacturer might have 8 versions of that product that you're not offering to your customer base. So I would urge everyone to dig into each product center that you have and how can you build out from that product. And again, this comes to the upsell. If you want to buy a standard 6 ounce polyester tablecloth, might cost you $169. If you want a 12.5 ounce one, it might be double that, but we might make an extra 12 points in the profit margin or something. So always be upselling and try and niche. I would say to my partner, niche into the niche, so to speak. Expand it as much as you can. So if you have that product, then either develop the other 6 products that your manufacturer can order, or just have a drop down on that product and give those options. And you're going to find that you open up product centers and profit centers that you didn't even know you had.
It's really about asking questions continuously, both from your own business plan and your own thinking, and the people you work with, your vendors, coaches, so that you're constantly rethinking how you're approaching your business. So some closing thoughts for all of you, right? Yes, the end of this de minimis rule is a pain in the butt. It is disruptive. It's going to hurt. But for the small business owners that think through this, it's a chance to tighten operations, sharpen your strategy, and build a more resilient business.
Exactly. And that's what I was saying to my wife, Marcella, because initially she was very spun out. She doesn't, being a small business owner such as that, she doesn't want to deal with things like this on a daily basis. She doesn't need to. But the fear that I saw in her and the panic was horrible. I really felt for her, and I feel for anyone who's in this situation. Don't panic. There is no panic needed. It's arming yourself with the information, because after we sat down and had that conversation, I gave her some options. She honestly, hand on heart, she looked at me, she said, oh, this is why I married a business guy.
She knows she was marrying a business guy?
Yeah, she did at the time.
All right.
Been an affliction for a while. But that's the thing, it's the knowledge and it's the knowing. And she had consulted ChatGPT as well, so AI is a good source for this as well. Just don't let it be your only source of information. That is my advice as an AI engineer. But use the tools to help yourself and inform yourself.
Join us for office hours.
Yes.
If you want to talk through any of these 5 points that we just discussed, jump in. We're here 3 days a week. The link is in all of our profiles. Come on in. We'll help you out. And we look forward to seeing you again. Thanks, Fry. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Marcella. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
I'm not sure if we're off yet. No, we're
still says live on my end. Sorry, guys. We're still live. This is the first one, and this will be looked back on in the future.
Let's see. All right. Let's end stream. Stay in the studio.